I like to hear from the people.
Yeah,
I just
so do
wondered, I said, what do you think he should do? Should he retire? Should he keep making starts till 200? Should he go to the bullpen?
Is he being
What do you think?
selfish? That was the fourth one.
Is he being... No, I didn't write that. But no,
you put out the question to
in the
people.
video? Yeah, I've gotten a lot of that from a lot of commenters over
Really?
the last couple months.
So what's the main thing they're saying?
Oh, it's a little bit of everything. Everybody loves Waino. But, I think at this point, does it really matter? I say you might as well just go for 200. Unless you're
getting lit up and he's affecting the rest of the players.
Okay, but what does it matter this year? You're not even trying to win anything.
Like if I'm in the outfield and balls are flying over the damn place, I'm like, I don't know, screwing your numbers up. He's getting lit up.
I think his own numbers.
I think it does matter. I think it does matter. And I've said this before, and I'll stick by it. I think Waino deserves to have a happy ending to his career. I get that. I root for that because he deserves it. He's done so much on the field and off the field. He deserves it. But to say, well, we're going to lose anyway, it doesn't matter. It does matter because you also have a lot of young guys basically auditioning, and I'm not so sure it's fair for the team to be down 5, 6, 8 to nothing before they blink an eye. And Waino's last start basically said it was non-competitive. He doesn't know why he was good in the bullpen. And then to do it again on his next scheduled start, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. Granted, you're not playing for anything, but a lot of guys individually are playing for stuff. I would say, let's change it up. Let's bring you out of the bullpen. We'll keep you stretched out. Let's try this to see if we can snap you back into place, because doing the same thing time after time after time doesn't make sense to me. Again, I'm all for Waino getting to 200, but maybe change it up, give him a roll out of the bullpen, put him in a game where it could be a positive outcome for him, or maybe he can rediscover something, give him another start. But right now, to do the same thing doesn't make sense to me.
What do you think, Charlie Marlowe?
Well, that was another thing we were talking about. Is I almost think that's more embarrassing to put him in the pen. I get putting him in the pen, but if you're going to massage basically each game to bring him in a tie game just for 200, I think in a way that's almost more embarrassing. Like now you're just doing everything for the 200.
Well, to me, and I get that. I'm not blind to that. I just think you got to change something up. Like you're putting him out there, in his normal rotation. When it's not going well, you still want to give him an opportunity. Change it up. Change something up. I get it. There's no when a guy seemingly doesn't have it and is still looking for it, it's not a great thing. But at least change up the circumstances. Maybe you find lightning in a bottle.
What do you think, Cole?
Well, the whole reason he's pitching at all is because they're bending over backwards for 200. Like, even if he were in the bullpen, I don't think many people would even want to see him come into a game. But if it's gone on this long, and we've all hashed out that I think that 198 and 200 are basically the same thing, but I understand why some people would like to go for it. I'm telling you, the way to goose the numbers is have your starter go 4.2 and then not qualify for a win because they didn't go the full 5 innings, and then tell Waino, again, a game that they are already winning at that point in time, tell him you have one out to get.
But that's pathetic. Come on.
Is this not already?
That was my point.
Charlie, is this not already pathetic?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying.
His ERA is almost 9.
Right, and my point about it not mattering is it's because the Cardinals are so bad. If the Cardinals were in the race, I don't think Waino would have made a start past the All-Star break. And you know what? We went through this with the Blues. Once you're going to be bad, just be bad and get the best draft.
I was thinking, like, as a player, man, if, like, they brought Marty back, Berdor, and he's getting lit up every time you go out there, you're a minus because Marty's letting in floaters from the blue line. I'd be like, dude, come on. I love you. You're the best of the best. But, dude, you're affecting everybody else now.
No, people love Waino. His teammates love Waino. Everyone's rooting for Waino. But I just think you got to change it up a little bit. Give it a different look. Maybe something will click.
I mean, you still have roughly 8 or 9 starts left. You think, based off of
that many?
Something like that. Isn't it like 45 games left in the schedule?
44 games, so he'd probably get 9 if he
Stole a lot of starts, man. That's a lot.
Maybe you get one against the A's because he started on Friday, and with the off day on Sunday, that kind of messes up the schedule a little bit. But it would make sense rest-wise to pitch him in the final game of the Oakland series. Look, if you don't get a win out of the Kansas City and Oakland series, then maybe that's the That's the flare in the air to let you know that the bullpen needs to be the way to get
Well,
it done.
if he just keeps getting lit up in the first inning every time you trot him out there, it's just.
Well, it kinda is what is
nothing.
happening.
I know. Like, we're just going to keep doing this?
You want to play the sound from Wayne?
Yeah, let's hear what he has to
we
say.
have
Courtesy of Bally Sports
Yeah.
Midwest.
Come on, let's see what he says.
Absolutely.
There he is.
I got to figure out why I'm feeling so much better on my bullpen days than I am on my start days. This last time was the best time I felt all year on my bullpen day. Yesterday, a little flat ground session, got on the mound a little bit just to feel things out. Man, I was really confident. So I don't know, man. I keep getting surprised by these outings. Just keep thinking I'm going to turn the corner and be great for this team down the stretch, and I just let us down again. So I deserve all the negative that I'm getting right now. I deserve it. I can stand up to that. I deserve it, and just got to wear it and keep going.
This is different for you because usually if it's an outing that you don't feel good about, you kind of have a sense of what you need to do. And in this one, you just say that you didn't have anything to do.
I've been making really great strides. If you ask Dusty, he'll tell you the same thing. The other day, my bullpen, we were like, now there's the guy from last year. There's the guy from 21. And that's what I expected to come out onto the mound today. And today I got super hot early and just couldn't cool down and just didn't make good pitches. That's all it comes down to.
Bullpen, though.
What do you think, Cam?
The bullpen's
No,
like the lead.
I say this.
I don't think it's funny.
trot him
I don't
out
think
there.
it's funny.
Don't trot him out there anymore. That's what I say.
Just done? Or
Done.
bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, if you want
Not
to try the
bullpen
bullpen,
or not at all.
I'd say I would try the bullpen. I would try that, but other than that, I'd be like, nope. It's over. That's my opinion.
I think even if you do goose the numbers to get 200 wins, I think 5-10 years from now, people aren't going to be talking about that as the totality of his career. I think that they're going to talk about it now because this is the season in front of us. But eventually, you're going to get to a point, I think, in the not so distant future, where people are just going to be talking about Adam Wainwright, the Cardinal as a whole, not necessarily Adam Wainwright's final year. When you talk about Randy Johnson, you don't talk about his 5.5 ERA with the San Francisco Giants, just basically chasing 300 wins. You talk about him in the 4 straight Cy Youngs in Arizona.
I think I understand what you're saying about 200 wins. Why is it that important? But I think you're wrong. It does matter. And I'm not talking of – no one's going to say, hey, let's talk Waino. And that last year we're struggling to get to – they're going to say across the country when they talk about baseball and Cardinal baseball, the last pitcher that was, a major player for them, you're going to talk about 200-game winner Adam Wainwright.
Well, that was my point. I'm saying
200 is important.
I'm saying 5-10 years from now, you're not going to talk about how he got to 200. You're going to talk about that he was. That was
because I've heard you say that 198 is the same as 200.
I still hold on to that.
Technically, you're not wrong, but in terms of baseball, it is a big deal.
I know. I think
they
it's
will say 200-game winner Adam Wainwright.
and I think those people are flawed in doing so. However, I understand. We're on the same.
Well, he's got to
page.
get
We're
there
on the
first.
Same page.
Right. I think what's best
Which
for
is
him
why-
is just to shut it down.
Well, they're already. They're putting him out there just to chase 200 anyway, so it's already embarrassing. I don't think there's a ton of shame in stacking the numbers by just throwing him into games that are already in line to be the win.
I don't know.
Only on his guitar night.
I mean,
October 1st.
just wait till the guitar night.
He's going to have a nice look. He's going to have a nice final outing, whether it's out of the bullpen. He'll get a standing ovation.
Is that
He'll
the
have a nice
final game of the year?
ceremony.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. This year is already look. It's all about 2024, and he's not throwing many pitches. You can still piggyback off him because he's only going an inning or 2 or 3. You can still have a Zach Thompson piggyback if you want to do that. You can get other people innings.
You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to ask the dais a question.
What's up?
So you guys saw Liberators start the other day, 8 shutout innings. To me, kind of came out of nowhere. Now, they were working with Liberator because velocity was a problem. It wasn't consistent, and they worked with him. And it is true. This isn't something they made up to cover their tracks. They've been working with him with the performance department on his basically his mechanics and his windup and optimizing the power from that. And he was more consistent with the fastball and looked like a totally different pitcher. Now, granted, you got to look at the teams he's facing and everything, but he looked like the guy that we thought was a top prospect. Do you think that that's sustainable, that we're going to see more of that Liberatore, or not sure?
Maybe. I still think they'll probably give that fifth spot will be a competition between him and Dakota and Zach Thompson. I'm not ready to say he's the starter next year, but let's see some more for sure.
So that would mean that they definitely are getting 2 starters.
I think they're gonna trade for one, sign one. I just don't think they're gonna get 3. I don't.
It's a lot.
Because Dakota will pitch well, Zach Thompson will pitch well, Liberatore will pitch well enough where they can sell it. Even though, look, a lot of fans will complain. But I think that fifth spot in the rotation will be one of these young guys competing in spring.
I think you're probably right, but I also think what they do with those 2 spots means a lot. Like, you can't get 3 and a 3A. Like, you got to get like a front of the rotation guy, and then at very least like a solid middle of the rotation, maybe a 2 in there. Like, I don't know if you're going to get a 1, but if you can get like 2 2s, or maybe a 1A and a 3A, but they got to be quality guys that you have control of, and they know this. The front office knows this.
They got work to do. What's caller Joe saying?
Let's find out.
What's up, big boy? What's on your mind?
Good morning, gentlemen. I will say this, that home run that Wainwright gave up to Bobby Witt Jr. Friday night, I thought I was watching the Little League World Series, and that was a 12-year-old that made that pitch. I really do. You mentioned embarrassing. I guess if Adam wants the 2 wins that bad, that's his decision. But I decided to watch a real baseball team last night. That was the Atlanta Braves. And during the broadcast, they mentioned their top 4 hitters, Acuna, Albies, Riley, and Olsen, have played all 116 games. And they're all having outstanding seasons. Now, as a fan, you don't expect that. You don't. But on the polar opposite of those 4 is Tyler O'Neill, who continues to miss games for only reason he knows. These past couple games where he's out in the outfield looking really great, apparently, but the turf at Tampa was bothering his knee, so I can't play. You know, Cam, we've talked about this before. I know he's not a hockey player. He's not a football player. But if you're Arenado or Goldschmidt, don't you start shaking your head at some point? And if you're the manager of this team or the organization, when is enough enough? Why don't you start playing guys that really want to play? Because he clearly is not one of them. Thanks.
All right, big boy. Yeah, listen, when anybody's injured like that, I mean, Carlo Koliakovo certainly went through that. Oh, he took a beating from the guys, man. It does get annoying when you're injury prone. Like, it truly does.
Cunha and Albies have both had injuries, but I understand his point. Yeah. It's not, my knee is a little sore today after having a back issue that kept you out 2.5.
Yeah.
I understand that his point is a lot different than that, but injuries are part of the game. But the Cardinals have to make a decision on where they are with Tyler O'Neill. When he's healthy, we have already seen flashes since he's been back of what he brings to the table. But if these injuries keep cropping up and it limits his availability, that's something you take into account.
I hate to say it. I think Tyler O'Neill's going to be – I shouldn't say I hate to say it. I think fans will hate to hear it, that Tyler O'Neill will be a Cardinal next year, because I don't think it makes sense to trade him when he has lessened trade value. And even though nobody should bet on this, but you just – look, one of these years he's going to stay healthy. Now, it might happen once every 4 years, but why would you trade him for a bag of balls? It doesn't make sense. I'm not saying you should say he's your starting left fielder, but this offseason, what, somebody's going to give you their 30th ranked prospect? Is that worth it? Or would you rather bet on, hey, this could finally be a year where he can play 130 games?
Well,
I get that.
I would agree with that, and I would also say that that's probably why Tyler is still on the team now, because there is interest, but you sell high, you don't sell low, and when a guy's hurt, you're selling low. And I'll say this, with all the things he does, too, like this guy, to me, look, he's not a center fielder. I never got that whole thing about put him in center. I never got that. We talked about it on the air. I didn't get it. But this guy is really good in left. I think he solidifies things when he's in left. And if he's healthy, you see that bat speed and what he brings to the table, there's something there. So I kind of agree with Charlie that you're not going to give this guy away for a bag of balls because he's got value. It's just not there right now because he's been hurt so much.
You have one more year with him. I think it makes sense to try to find the right time where his value is higher because it's about as low as it could be this year. He wasn't very good, and predominantly because he was on the 60-day IL. So you got, what, 4 months before the trade deadline, and he missed at least 2 of them. So, yeah, his
Two and a half with the back issue.
His value next year almost has to be better than it was this year. So I think it makes sense to enter the season with him.
And he was my guy. I picked him and Zach Thompson as stocks to buy. And I still believe if he's healthy, and I understand that's a huge if, but I'm a Tyler O'Neill guy. That guy has a different sort of tool set than other players have. Whatever you want to call it.
Isn't that what Bernie calls them? Muscles?
Muscles.
The front office should get more criticism for bringing back Waino. The contract was huge, and you have to think they look past some injuries, given he hasn't looked the same since last August, in order to generate revenue. By the way, Charlie's YouTube videos are awesome. 636.
Thank you.
That was a nice little compliment. Put a name in, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I think that Waino isn't being selfish, because he's not the one who writes himself into the 26-man roster. He's not the one who writes the lineup every single day. Somebody else is allowing him to do it.
Yeah.
And these guys are professional.
Let it go.
Look, I don't
Sell those guitars, baby.
Sell them guitar.
I don't think Waino has it anymore, but
Whoa.
What are you talking about?
But
You saw his bullpen.
To make my point, these guys are professional competitors. These guys aren't bred to turn down opportunities to see the field. Somebody else is giving him the opportunity. I don't blame him for taking it. I don't blame him for taking the $17 million.
No, I get that.
We don't do this with anybody else. We don't say that Taylor Motter should go to John Mozeliak and say, hey, Mason Wynn should be here instead of me. We don't go to Wilson Contreras and say, you know what, Wilson, you should go give back the money that the Cardinals gave you. No, he's not.
Well, he's the
not.
hottest hitter in baseball, so why would he?
Okay, for what? This past how long?
Since like June something. He's
Okay.
He's been hitting the
hottest
ball.
hitter in baseball.
He's been hitting the ball.
Okay, maybe a bad
But
example.
Waino could
Between him
say,
and
"I'm done."
between him and Kisner, they have a little murderer's row behind
Oh,
the
yeah.
plate.
Big
Thank
bopper.
you.
I like
Thank
that.
you, Andrew Kisner.
Big
And
bopper.
hit a home
I
run.
understand your point. I would say this. I don't fault the Cardinals for bringing Waino back. I know the season ended badly for him last year, but I don't think anyone saw what was coming. And like I said before, he deserves to have a good finish. And so they brought him back as an end-of-the-rotation guy. It didn't work out. And I think they've given him a lot of leash.
My bad.
A lot of leash to try to get to 200, and at some point, maybe you switch it up and put him in the pen.
And by the way, I think it's really hard, not just with the Cardinals. You look at a lot of legacy players, and not just somebody like Wayne. Look at some of the Hall of Fame players in other sports, where it's been a real awkward ending as you're trying to massage the legacy and not hurt these guys' feelings and have all the giveaway nights and the jersey retirements when they don't have it. I mean, the Lakers blew 3 seasons off honoring Kobe, honestly. They really did. And so with Waino, I think if you look back to last year, the fact that the Cardinals were able to have a send-off for Albert and Yachty, where it was still a really good season, and Albert provided some magic. Look, if you're saying goodbye to Yachty, Albert, and Waino, it's not a huge surprise that one of them was going to look pretty bad. And we've talked about this before. The Yachty thing would have got a lot more scrutiny if the Cardinals weren't really good last year, and
100%.
if Albert hadn't captivated all of baseball.
No doubt.
Because even though the Cardinals were really good last year, that was all about Albert in a good way. A lot of people, I didn't even think he was going to get to 700.
No.
I mean, that season was magical because of Albert. So the fact that this Waino thing is off the tracks, you could it's not easy for a 40, 41-year-old, a catcher, a starting pitcher. Your velo's down. You got a contract. They're trying to honor you.
You got a record deal.
You got a record deal.
And we all thought Albert. We all at the beginning of the year we're like, nah, I don't think he's going to reach 700.
Even
We
at,
all
even
said
at the
that.
All-Star break.
Yeah, he turned it on, man.
He was going to walk away at
Yeah.
one point because it just wasn't there.
Mid-season?
and then he found it early in the first half. He, and at first Yachty wasn't even going to come back after saying he was going to come back. There's a lot of things that went right last year, even though the Cardinals didn't go deep enough. And the one player that I can remember as a little kid seeing who was so far past his prime, but you still appreciated seeing him, Willie Mays.
Yeah.
With the New York Mets in 1973. He hit 211, I think. This was a guy, but it was Willie Mays. I mean, I was, 10 years old or whatever, and I knew that was Willie Mays in a Mets uniform. He wasn't the same guy, obviously. But
Who
he
else was
kinda-
bad? Who else? That just was a
Pretty
little
much-
too long.
Pretty much anyone that played deep into their career wasn't great.
Yeah.
at the end of their career.
They won that one
Otherwise,
last
they'd
shot.
still be playing.
You know Bob Gibson's ERAs last year? I looked this up yesterday.
What was it?
Not as bad as Waino's. It was right over 5.
Oh, yeah.
And they put him in the bullpen.
Did they?
They moved him to the bullpen.
Chris Carpenter, they gave him a deal, and they should have because he freaking gave his entire body and arm and back and whatever what was the surgery he and Jaime had, where they transplant.
The forearm.
Oh,
No,
God. They take a tissue.
Surgery, with the
They
rib.
take a rib, yeah.
What's it called?
I don't know.
I always forget the name.
Thoracic.
awful.
That's not
Thoracic outlet
thoracic
syndrome.
outlet.
Ooh.
So he got another deal, but you know what? He also won you the World Series.
Yeah.
And he was hurt for the last couple years.
And he played hockey.
And if you're the Cardinals, you're like, well, Albert came around in the second half. Waino can do that. And we've seen, here's the other thing. We've seen Waino reinvent himself. On this very dais, before he was good again, he went through injuries. They were like, he's terrible. He's done. They're only doing this because they like Waino. It's one of the buddy contracts. And then he came back and he was good. But at some point, you don't have the ability anymore to make that adjustment you need to make. Maybe we're at that point.
Are people saying that?
What?
That, hey, Pujols came back in the second half. Waino can do it too.
No, I'm saying if you're the Cardinals, you're like,
don't see
look,
that.
look how that look. No, hindsight's 20/20, Cole. I'm saying the Cardinals brought back Yachty and Albert, made a ton of money off it, and it worked out well. It was crazy what Albert did. They looked at Waino, I think, as a guy who had the tools to be decent this year. I don't think they were like, oh, he's going to give up 8 runs in an inning, but we'll still. No one saw that at that point.
I thought he was going to be decent this season. Based
Most
off
people
of last
thought
year.
at the very least he'll be decent as an end of the rotation guy.
Yeah, I was one of those people, and I was way off.
La Russa's a bully. And the fellows he's closest to are bullies. Knight, Parcells, Belichick. He tried to have Al Raboski fired for saying how Molina and Pujols jogged the first. We were talking about...
No, he didn't. Who said that?
Hockey Bob.
So Tony tried to get Al Raboski fired.
I guess.
All right. Then I was there, but I didn't know.
You know who texted me yesterday, Charlie? Your boy Brad Straubinger.
Straubby?
He's like, what's up? He goes, I just want you to know, I do think Al Raboski should be in the Cardinals Hall of Fame.
That
Text
was a
me
good
just for
point.
that.
I never
He just
thought about
texted
that.
you that out of nowhere?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a listener.
Yeah. I'm like, oh. Well, all the things we talked about. I'm like, oh, that. I'm like, oh, okay.
When you look it
I go,
up,
thanks, dude.
When you look it up,
He's pretty
he
good.
definitely has a good case.
Yeah, he does. Big Al.
He's also been part of the broadcast.
Yes, for a long time.
He's also is an employee of the Cardinals for years as well. And I used to say this when we do like the little autograph signing for the on-air people. All right, this guy gets a lot, this guy gets a lot. The line for Al, like
Boom,
around
baby.
the block. People love Al Raboski.
Yeah.
And he's a really nice man.
Always good to me. Always good to me. My dad met Tony at a restaurant in Arizona probably 10 years ago. My dad bought Tony and the young 25-year-old Tony was with a drink. I'm sure she was his niece or something. Microbiologist Jack.
Good old TLR.
If Waino has any dignity left, he would refuse to take the ball in
No.
his next start and retire. It makes me so sad.
No. These guys
I'd say.
these guys are professional competitors. It is not his responsibility to reject the opportunity to
you
play.
also know
Cam,
when it's over, too, boy. I'm just letting you know, dude. You also know when it's over.
Yeah, that's the dignity argument, I think, is what this is all about.
Yeah.
I think that's an absolutely fair
100%.
argument to just say, is this
It's
it's already embarrassing. Do you keep doing it? I'm fine with him getting another start, but he can't have four
on.
more like
honest question.
What?
Did you feel at all that playing in Nottingham was beneath you, given that you spent 10 years in the NHL?
If I had to go back again and fight, yeah, dude, I'm not doing it anymore. I had to hang it up.
Okay, not now, but at the time
No,
that
at
you
the
went.
time, I'm like, no, I don't want to go back there, man. Fight all those guys again. I'm done.
You meant when you were playing, when you did it.
Yeah, when
At
you
the beginning, I was like, man, what am I doing? Hell
making
yeah.
money.
Yeah, but it wasn't that much money. So yeah, at the beginning, I'm like, what am I doing here? Yes, but then it all
in a
worked
Hulk
out.
Hogan outfit.
Yeah, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going out there dancing
But the money,
like a jackass.
the money thing for Waino isn't it. And I understand the dignity part, and I understand that's why a lot of people love Waino, don't want to see him start anymore. But Cole, I think, has a point. Waino believes, he said it, he believes that he will find it and will finish strong. He said that.
Yeah.
I really do think he believes that also. I do.
I know he had the bullpen outing. You know,
Pro athletes have to be delusional. They just have to.
no, you get to that point.
And so
You're damn right. You get to that point.
he's seen himself do it a million times throughout his career, and I don't blame him for being confused as to how it's not working now. Now, we, as fans and as viewers and
Father
as
time,
media
baby.
members, we understand that, but I don't blame athletes for thinking that they always have it in them to be successful.
Oh, I do. You know your body. You see what you see.
you know,
Trotting yourself out there, man, getting lit up.
I'm with Cole on this one. I think if you've done it before where you reinvented yourself or made an adjustment, you believe it's still in there. He said it. He said, I still think it's in there. He said, I don't know why. I understand people doubt me, but I believe I will be able to put it together and have a little run toward the end.
Exactly my point.
When did you-
still believe it and it's not there?
when did you realize that your final year in New Jersey was going to be your final year?
I think in the summertime.
Before the season even started?
Yeah. I knew I couldn't get a contract.
Okay, well,
Then I had to go to the American League, and Lou was going to sign me to Toronto in the American League, and I'm like, oh, God. And then this popped up, and I'm like, I'm going to get another year to kind of regroup, go play over there, so go see some castles with Kate, do my thing. I didn't know how much I was going to be fighting over there, and oh, God.
okay, better question.
What are you trying to ask me?
We'll
when-
see
when
if it's a
did
better
you-
question.
Yeah.
When did you feel like physically you had nothing left to offer to the NHL?
I still had it, man. I was
See?
in great shape, but I still didn't want to do it. I'm like, no.
That's a different toll on your body,
Yeah.
though. I mean, you're sacrificing money for years of your life in a way.
But Cole's point, I think, remains intact. Physically, you felt like outside of the fighting, you could still compete and still play at that level.
Oh, yeah.
So Cole is
But,
right.
yeah, but
So I'm saying-
I was flying around killing guys, doing my thing. Of course, he's getting lit up like a Christmas tree. There's a big difference. I was going 100 miles an hour, flying around. I was healthy. I was doing my stuff.
Well, he's throwing pitches at 86 miles.
Exactly.
Would the people who
Terrible.
watched you say the exact same thing? Oh, Cam Jansen's out there flying around, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's just a hell on
I
wheels.
can go there and do an autograph signing and make a ton of money. Kidding? They wanted to hire me just to be on the front office. I'm like, okay, yeah,
What role?
yeah, just run the office, like be president or whatever. They wanted me to be there so bad. They're offering me contracts to be player coach, to do this, to do that. I was going to be the captain. They had all these jerseys they were going to sell. Yeah, I screwed them over.
I had never known that.
Yeah.
That you had all this
Yeah, I
stuff.
was going to be captain. Sign me for
Their,
another 3
their
years.
loss is our gain.
Yeah, it's all
At
good.
100%.
Talking about Nottingham, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were talking about New Jersey.
I could tell you thought he was talking about New Jersey.
No.
You're going to be the general manager of
Yeah.
hockey
Yeah,
operations
with
for
Lou.
the Devils?
They have all these contracts out there. Pick one.
When you said president of the New Jersey, well, in
I know
my
what you
mind,
were-
president
My
of New
last
Jersey
year with
Devils, I'm
Jersey
like, what?
was a tough year for me, dude. I was still on Suboxone. I was out of it. I was still trying to get off of this nasty drug. It was horrible, man. I was getting drug tested 3 times a week. It was a horrible, 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 horrible experience. Ask my wife. It aged us both. It truly aged us both. Kept getting suspended. Then I got this guy staring at my ding-a-ling 3 times an effing week at 5 o'clock in the morning. I had to get up and chug.
Wait, you knew Hockey Bob back then?
He looked just like him. It looked just this
Ring
guy.
yourself.
No.
I like that joke.
Ask my wife. He looked just like Hockey Bob. Coming in staring at my dingling 3 times an effing week at 5 o'clock in the morning.
That make it better?
I had to crush water at 4:30. Go glug, 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 just to piss water. Yeah.
You dilute it?
To
or
dilute
just
it, yes.
To try to pee it all.
Dilute it, man.
Okay.
I'm not
This is
pissing
like
in
a
there and you guys, it goes every, no. I'm
Johnny
diluting
Manziel
it.
situation?
Yes, I diluted because you're allowed to, they couldn't, at that particular drug test, they couldn't come back. So they're getting whatever piss I'm giving them, they're taking it to the lab. This guy was hired to go, I wasn't the only pro athlete, dude. He didn't tell me the names because he couldn't. But he's like, I go, where are you going after this? He goes, I'm going down to Jersey. You might know somebody. I'm actually going over to New York. I think you know this guy too. He travels, gets paid, I think, like
A-Rod?
$2,000. So if he doesn't come to my house at 5 o'clock in the morning and I don't answer my phone, he doesn't get paid. That guy is banging on your door 3 times a week at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was
Really?
terrible. It was terrible. I was so down. I felt bad. My poor wife was just like trying to hold me together throughout this whole process. Losing my mind. What am I going to do? My career's over. I can't get off this gosh dang Suboxone. I feel down. I'm bleh. Then I got to go fight this guy who just got called up from the East Coast, who's 6'6", throws both hands, don't even know who he is, don't know what he's going to do to me, and fight that guy on Suboxone. Blah. Nasty, man. That year sucked. So anyway, just a little. It's just like it was bad, dude.
So anyway,
If I were you,
God.
if I were you, though, I'd be rooting for Wayno.
I mean,
After everything you've been through, you should root for Wayno.
I'm rooting for him.
I mean, at this point, I'm just like, he's being selfish, in my opinion. He just is. He knows where he's at. It's over. There's kids, man, that could take your spot. There's young kids down there. I know you're like, oh, but on the other hand, it's like, dude, you ain't there anymore, man. It's all good. Everybody loves you. Everybody loves you here. You can do whatever the hell you want. Get that record deal. It's over.
Well, how about this, though? Think about it like this. If he's going to be a country music singer, think about this.
Yeah.
A lot of the great country songs, they come from a place of pain, right? Heartbreak.
Oh, so this is good
might
for
be-
his career, just
he
not
might
this
be a better
career.
country music
You're
artist
right.
dealing with the struggles.
Yes.
That could be his, just a soul pouring out album talking about 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to really feel sorry for him when he's talking about getting lit up. Meanwhile, these other country guys are like, I grew up on a farm.
try that in a small town.
My dad died at a young age.
Just so
And
you
he's
know,
talking about
Put a boot in
Wayno-
your
Wayno-
hands, it's
guy.
the American
Wayno
way.
didn't have his dad in his life.
Yeah.
He's been through some stuff.
Has
I mean, in all honesty, it's not, his mom raised him. Dad wasn't around. I forget the exact reason. So he's had some stuff in his life. And there's a lot of reasons to root for him. I'm not saying you're rooting against him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this guy has done more than his share of off-the-field stuff with his foundation, going overseas
Oh, God,
and helping
yeah.
people out. And on the field, he's been a great pitcher. So there's a lot of reasons to root for that guy.
Oh, I'm definitely rooting for him.
Yeah.
But I just think the way that he and the Cardinals are going about 200 is pretty fascinating. And a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people have opinions on it. And it is awkward. It's very awkward. You can't deny that. You just can't.
If you watch his last start, you can't say it's not awkward.
I was driving to Chicago and I checked my phone. I was like,
I know.
Well, I checked Twitter first, and I have people that are essentially giving eulogies. The first thing I saw on Twitter as I'm checking my phone is, man, I love Wayno. Man, I'll never forget Wayno. Honestly, that's what people are saying. So I was
I'll
like,
never forget him.
No. I could tell it was so bad because people are literally at this point just saying, man, I'll never forget the good years.
And I said, be nice, Cole, on the text line. That's when you know.
I was out on a walk. I had my headphones in. I don't even know what I was listening to, and I got that text, and I'm like, oh, no, how
yeah.
bad is it?
Yep.
And I looked,
It wasn't good.
and it just got worse.
And I was wondering, after each one of these start, I'm wondering, what's he going to say? Is it? Because everyone likes this guy.
Yeah.
And everyone wants him to succeed. I thought one of these times he might say, I gave it a shot, but he hadn't.
No. Yeah, no, he hasn't. Cam, I met Rob Ramage yesterday, and he wanted me to tell you he said hi and hope all is well. Barry McCockiner, great guy. Speaking of going through some tough times right there, man. That dude, big time. Sit down and have a beer with him. I don't think Wayno starting has anything to do with 200. Who else should pitch? Just run the clock out on the season and move on. Cray.
Anybody else, a young guy,
Yeah,
who might
exactly.
start at some point next
Yeah,
year.
see what he's got. No doubt.
McGreevy, Graceffo, whatever.
Let's see what they got. Morning, boys. Forget
Rolson.
about Wayno's feelings. What about his teammates' feelings? Do you think super competitor like Arenado wants to just be out there as a big pile of dog crap heaps up around him? No, that's not fair to anyone. He wants a guaranteed good ending to his career. Be a real man and step aside. Sharon.
This is personal for Sharon.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Why?
Consider the audience.
Because he blocked her on Twitter.
Oh, Sharon's been funny on the text line last week.
Well, here's another part of this
So
that I think,
funny.
we talked about this with the Blues, and a lot of people disagreed with me, but it's like, dude, at this point, I'm sorry, you don't want them to win. I'm not saying that they're running Wayno out to lose, but why do we care if they compete in the last 44 games when it's actually beneficial for the franchise to lose games? It is. It's 100% true. And then with the Blues, I want to see a better effort. Why?
No.
Why?
I was
You didn't
screaming
want
for them
the
to
10th
lose.
pick. You should have had the 5th pick.
Dude, I know. You could have had the
Cardinals are
Russian
never
kid.
bad, by the way. By the way, let's remember the Cardinals are never bad. This never happens. But when you are bad, be really bad.
I know.
Be as bad as possible. Seriously. I don't care what anyone says. No, be bad. You want the 5th pick. You want the 3rd pick. You don't want the 9th pick. You don't want the 11th pick. It doesn't matter. Just lose. I don't care.
I also want to see some guys called up.
I disagree. I think there is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think if you know a guy's going to get bombed in the first few innings, okay, maybe Waino will find it, maybe he won't. I hope he does. But if you kind of know a guy's going to get bombed every outing, I don't think that's good for the other guys on the team. I understand.
I agree with that.
I understand losing helps them, doesn't hurt them, but I think there's more to it than that. I think it can negatively impact the other players.
I don't. Not in baseball.
I do.
The other guys can come in and pitch well. The other guys can still hit. Next year's fine. The Cardinals are still the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they're going to be much better next year. But we need to realize that 2023, it's over. It's over.
It's over. I also think the Connor Bedard situation and how highly touted that draft was wanted us more for the Blues to lose. I think if that draft wasn't so too much talked about and the con dog was involved, we'd be like, But we just wouldn't pay attention.
Okay, it also doesn't happen. Let's acknowledge it almost never happens with the Blues or the Cardinals.
Yeah,
all I'm saying is, and I've never said these things until it gets to the trade deadline. The last 2 seasons of the Blues and the Cardinals, it's the first time that either team has had to have a sell-off, unless we're talking like the Shattenkirk type moves, the Stastnys, because they were expiring deals. But I'm talking about truly selling off and no longer trying to compete for that season. It hasn't happened for the Blues or Cardinals in what? A decade. So once you're there, like, I'm not all about fighting back to try to make it look good in 2023. No, like, this is your bad year. Just wear it, come back next year, get a good draft pick.
I agree with Jim, especially when Jim was saying about the Blues, too. When the Blues are losing, it ain't good for the young kids. That losing mentality. It's hard to be so bad and then all of a sudden be like, "Ugh, I'm turning the switch back on. Oh, winning mentality now."
But you said you wanted to lose.
I did, but it's not good for the young kids.
I think they can flip the script the next year. I really do.
I don't.
I really do.
I think that's really hard on them. I've been in those locker rooms, man, where you're bad team, and I've been in a good. There's such a difference. It's unbelievable.
Okay, so Cairo and Thomas.
Such a difference.
So Cairo and Thomas are your leaders. They've been on good teams for 4+ years. Now they're on a bad team for essentially a year or half a year.
Not talking about them.
Well, who are you talking about?
Just any young kid that comes up in the system and coming up through training camp and playing preseason games. Just the mentality when you walk in that locker room. Either you have a winning mentality or you don't, and there's certainly a difference, man. There really is.
I don't think it matters for next year at all.
I think also, I think baseball is different, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, because we're talking about. It's not like there's a talent differential like there would be with the Blues if they're having a bad season and they're playing really good teams. This is you could be playing anyone, and you're down 5-0 after 2. I just don't. And you, if you kind of realize that's what's coming and you do it anyway. I don't think it's good.
Yeah. I get you on that.
Oh, it's not good. I mean, it's good for radio. It's good for our conversations.
Yeah. And that's all we care about, right, Charlie?
Well,
it's all we care about, baby.
Root for radio.
Damn right.
How often in your career did you enter, and I'm not just you specifically, but just the general tenor of the locker room, how often did you enter a season not giving yourself a chance to make the playoffs?
Wait, what?
You said basically that the losing from this season can really affect the young kids and just the overall culture of the team.
Yeah.
So you don't think that over the offseason when they come back in March that they can mentally reset and say, all right, fresh start, everybody's 0-0, we all have the same record, we can make something of this?
Of course, but it's easier just to have a winning mentality. Or if you're playing on a team that no one cares and you're a young kid, you're like, oh, this is normal. No, it's not, man. Even like, I remember playing for Windsor, and we were terrible, and then I got traded to Guelph. And I walk in that locker room, and I'm like, oh, my God. Just the way everybody was, just what they were doing pre-practice. I'm like, oh, God, dang. You know the team that, remember Chicklets there talking about me on when I had the
beer bag?
The beer bag.
I was about to say. You weren't bringing beer in that
I walked in that locker room, I'm like, oh, my God. Completely different. These guys were on the ball, dude, in practice, winning. We're winning this damn thing. It was night and day, dude. Night and day. It was night and day when I played for the Devils and got traded to the Blues. And walking in that locker room, like, let's go do our thing. What we doing? What's up? The Devils, oh, man, everybody's buttoned up, doing their thing before practice. Everybody's on the same page. If you lost, guys are like, man, towel over their head. Whoa, this can't happen again. You look at Lou's looking in your soul. Dude, big-ass difference.
But if it's
telling you.
In my opinion, if it's a younger team that's learning how to win, To me, that's different than a team full of veterans. And by the way, we're having this conversation. We didn't have this conversation at spring training. We didn't even have this 2 months in. We're only having this conversation because we're 44 games out. They've traded everyone. They're not going to make the playoffs. My point is, for the next 44 games, to me, it means nothing if they win 15 or 18 or 20 games. The difference. It just doesn't.
I understand. We just have a difference of opinion. I think losing in this fashion, the way they have,
It's terrible.
during his starts, not great.
It's not good, dude.
Well, of course it's not good.
That's all I'm saying.
It's god awful.
Well, if we really cared, then Waino, if we really cared about winning, Waino would have stopped pitching.
I know.
That's the thing. So the whole thing is about the 200 because Waino's a legacy player and all that. This is all and I'm not saying this to say it's a circus clown show, but it is a sideshow. Actually, it is looking like a circus. Let's be real. This is a sideshow.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean Waino wasn't a great Cardinal for 15 years. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it doesn't mean he's not a great human being that gives all kinds of money and builds wells and hospitals in third world countries. All of those things are still true. And yet, what we have been seeing this year, the last couple outings, it is very, very embarrassing. And that's why I think the dignity embarrassment argument, that is what people are talking about.
But you want to see it continue, and I'm saying I want to see it
changed
changed a little because I want him to get an opportunity. I just don't want to see the team down big after a couple. I just don't think that's healthy.
Nobody talks about Yachty vacationing half the season last year anymore. I remember hearing about how it would impact his legacy. Laugh out loud.
No, now they talk about him and say, look, they don't have any catchers without him. Who's going to catch?
Yeah.
20 years and now the organization doesn't know how to have somebody catch.
That wasn't as bad as what's going on with Waino, though.
But you don't think that was legit? Like, you don't think that some of the stuff that the Cardinals dealt with catching-wise early this season didn't make you appreciate the Yachty 2 decades even more?
Of course.
The greatest thing that Yachty did, outside of all the exploits of him as a defensive catcher, handling pitching staffs, and the fact that he wasn't there, and even though he's out of shape last year and wasn't the same guy we saw for all those years, his ability to handle a pitching staff is something that I think was immediately missed by the Cardinals. But I do think as the season's gone along, it's gone better. I think Kisner has really proved his worth as a guy that pitchers want to throw to. And I think Contreras has come along and made improvements, and plus, he's crushing baseballs now.
Bernie dedicated a whole segment to Kisner and how good he's been.
Really?
Yeah, on Friday.
Hell yeah. Well,
There we go.
But I was savaged through through the early part of the season for defending Kisner. Why is he on the team? Savage. And I was like, I know I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a rights holder. But I watched the way he worked behind the scenes and how I could tell pitchers leaned on him in preparing either for a start or for work out of the bullpen. To me, I saw the value of Kisner. And then he started to hit, and then he started to frame better, and things fell in.
Where's his average
Sometimes
now?
the text line is toxic.
Oh, hello,
Last I looked,
Drop.
it was 250.
Hey, I don't.
Oh, hello, Drop.
I don't like to drop during Cardinal
Oh, hello,
segments.
Drop.
I'm
Why not?
Because we're actually talking ball. It's going to go on YouTube. I don't want to interrupt the flow of a good Cardinal segment.
You're navigating the show based on how it will play for YouTube? Well, you just said it. I just asked.
Okay.
I asked the question.
Not primarily. Not primarily.
How about our podcasts that make a lot of money for
that
$5.90?
too? That too.
No, I just asked him a question. He said something, and then I asked a follow-up.
Oh, he's thinking of something else but the show, isn't he?
Secondarily.
Oh, he's thinking about something else besides this show.
The primary is I don't want to interrupt a good Cardinals conversation because that's
you-
All right, you'll be all right.
'Cause of you.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning,
I am
whoever this is.
Oh, let me go find it.
Good morning, Charlie. I am driven to always admit when I'm wrong. I apologize for slamming what I thought was proof of Flaherty talking trash about the Cardinals catchers, when in fact, after listening to the Sarce, it is clear without a doubt Flaherty was ripping the Cardinals fans.
Little chirp.
With that said, the would-be proof I shared last Friday does prove that Flaherty is an idiot.
Good morning, everybody. There it is. That's why we need drops. Well, hey, that was an interesting conversation, and we figured that out.
Yeah.
That's what you do. Hey, you know what we did? We did a little Joe Rogan. Sometimes when somebody throws something out
That's right,
and
baby.
everybody hasn't heard, you know what you have to do? You have to go to the source.
Dang right.
You have to
Vet and
actually
verify.
read
Dang
it
right.
and see what he meant.
Dang right.
And Was he bashing the Cardinals and the Cardinals fans? Was it a nice little chirp? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do I want him to keep chirping?
Yes.
Oh, by the way, we'll get into Lance Lynn also, Cole.
Yes.
Don't think we've forgotten about that one. Jamie, look this up.
Jamie. Let's see here.
Wait, so there was dispute as to what Flaherty was kind of mocking the fact that they weren't winning and weren't drawing, right?
He said that's
The sound.
He said that's the first time I had to turn up my pitch count in a long time at home. That's what he
Right.
said.
A texture.
Clearly about there not being noisy, raucous crowds. Right? What else?
Well,
do
Mad
people think?
Marie thought, because if you look at the attendance, it was like 40,000 his last outing, Flaherty. So it's like, no, there was a lot of people there. So he's like, no, he's chirping the catchers. And Charlie and I were both like,
Well, no, we
I don't
just
think
wanted
so.
to. We wanted to
Right,
go
yeah.
and actually read the quote.
Yeah.
Or hear the quote.
He's chirping.
I read the quote, and that's what I took it as.
If Tyler O'Neill is going to be a big biatch and say don't trade him, don't play him, stick his ass in the minors and let him rot for a while.
No,
5.73. Put a
Again,
name in.
if you're planning on trading him at any point, you got to have value, and there's no value if he's just benched forever.
How about this? How about just for everybody's sanity, we just plan on Tyler O'Neill being a fourth outfielder for the 2024 Cardinals, and that's the standard, and anything else above that, we're excited about.
I'm fine with that.
Let's assume he's going to be hurt a lot. Let's assume he's going to play 90 games, beyond the IL a couple times, and when he's in there, be productive, but he's going to be a fourth outfielder. And anything you get beyond that, I think you should be happy with.
I'm down with that.
Who starts over him?
Wilson Contreras.
In left field.
You think that's crazy?
You think that's crazy? I don't know.
I'm half kidding.
I thought you were kidding.
I think you have Jordan Walker in right. You have Lars Nootbaar
in center.
I guess in center.
Then you have
and then
Tyler.
it can be a Dylan Carlson, Tyler, platoon, whoever's better, whoever's healthy. We'll do this again. We'll do the same thing. Talk about the same thing for the third straight year.
17 million isn't anything these days. Quit fake complaining about money, Cardinals fans. 17 million? 17 and a half, isn't it?
What was the Lance Lynn thing, Charlie? Because I've been a Lance Lynn supporter for a long time, saying that's the guy I want in the rotation.
And how about this? Because, you and I will spar sometimes.
A lot.
I'm defending you. I'm with you. Now, they say the reason that you want Lance Lynn is more so because of the interviews. And I said, that's just an ancillary benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I don't think Lance Lynn's going to throw to a 2 ERA the whole time with the Dodgers. But he is right now. And the fact that Lance Lynn was a 6 ERA pitcher for the White Sox, it really shouldn't shock anyone that he's much better when he leaves. I'm not saying I thought he was going to be 2 ERA. But we've saw Lester, we've saw Happ, and Lance Lynn, at this point in his career, should be better than both those guys. He's only about, was he 35 years old? So it shouldn't surprise anybody that Lance Lynn is much better once leaving the Sox.
So the reason why I was pro Lance Lynn for the Cardinals, I understand they were going to have to shed people that were going to get new deals and everything, for a few reasons. One, great interviews, because I like him. But the main thing was, first of all, they needed a rusty nail, I thought. Lance Lynn is that. They did that with A.J. Przinsky, and it worked out beautifully. A guy who is maybe not the same as everyone else in the room, just a guy who brings a little fire. Secondly, with all the talk of pitch to contact over the years, and now it's swing and miss, well, Lance Lynn is a swing and miss guy, right? When I looked it up, he was top 5 in the National League in strikeouts. I think he's still over a strikeout per inning. Understanding he's up there in years, I thought he was a perfect guy. Also, isn't going to cost you a king's ransom. I thought he was a perfect guy for the rotation.
Cole is right. Don't blame Waino at all for taking the bucks and the starts. It's not on Ollie either. He can't take him out. This is on Mo and the Trinkets promo team front office money machine.
That's fair.
It's quite possible.
I think it's probable.
I'm laughing a little bit, but I do kind of agree with that text.
Hey, Kat, do you think you get any sense that Wainwright realizes he's embarrassing himself, or is he completely detached from reality like he sounds, the all-knowing expert?
Look,
it's a good question.
I admire him, so I take him at his word that he believes he will finish strong. So, I mean, I'm not going to call him out for saying things that he believes are not true because he's an admirable person. He's really a decent human being. I think in there he believes that he will get hot for a few games and win some games before it's all said and done.
Now, do you think
I
he's
agree with
right?
you. And I don't think he's right. I think I think he thinks that he can get back to it. Because if not, then he would probably be like, I'm done.
But I
I'm
don't think he deep down, because he's very smart. Excuse me.
Oh,
Are we good? 3, 2, 1. I don't think, even though he says it, I don't think he really deep down in his heart thinks it. And here's why. It goes back to, you just brought up A.J. Przinsky. Do you ever listen to that show? It's a very good show. Foul Territory.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons it's so good is it's very real. It's not scripted. Guys cuss, and they tell it like it is.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is there's a difference. You can't come out in your last year and be like, I got nothing, I'm done, I should have retired last year. But you can 5 years from now. And that's what's said on that show. If you talk to the A.J. Przinskis of the world and they interview players, they will say those exact things. Dude, my last year I was stealing money. But they would never say that the final year. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you don't realize it until you retire, too.
But I think deep down, he realizes, he does, in his brain, because he's been such a great player, he does think, oh, you never know, I can just
That's what I
figure
mean.
it out.
Yeah.
But deep down, like, if he didn't look at all the emotional aspect of it and everything, if he really thought about it, I'm throwing 85 miles an hour, this is the Royals, they're not even good, and I'm getting shellacked over and over again. This is, by the way, after I've already been sat for about 10 days at the All-Star break, just to get strong, and I was coming back, I was okay for a couple starts.
Got injections.
Yeah.
Come on.
Then they wore
The
off.
the body just, Father Time is undefeated.
But I just don't. I think, look, to me, if he says something over and over again, I'm not going to say he's lying. I believe him. I don't know what it is that he thinks is going to change, but he thinks he's going to find something. And so I believe that he thinks he has a chance of doing what he says, and he admits it. He says, no one believes me. They don't have a reason to, but I think I'm going to find it. I think when you listen to what he says, that's the most important thing. Again, I don't know if it's going to happen. I would change some up and put him in the bullpen, for at least for a little while, see if you can just flip a switch or change. Maybe you accidentally push the right button, but I believe that's what he believes.
But players lie all the time. All the time. You think players in the media are going to say if they really think their manager or president of baseball operations or pitching coach should be fired? They lie all the time.
But this is different.
All the time.
This is different because this isn't like a lie where you're saying, no, I support what they're doing. This is a guy who you're saying knows he's going to give up 7 runs every start and is still doing it. It's not for money because he's got enough money. He could walk away. I mean, what's left in his contract for the rest of it is chump change. He could walk away and not even know the difference with his money. He's the one that's going to have to go out there, and if he is lying, knows he's going to give up 7 runs a game.
That's why I don't think he'd do it. I think he still believes in himself.
Don't think he's.
Yes, I do. I think he totally believes in himself. And then after a while, when he's retired, he's going to look back and be like, God, what was I thinking?
Not totally to me. I don't think he totally believes in himself.
Okay.
I think
he believes enough that he's trotting his ass back out there.
Well, he knows his stuff is very compromised as opposed to past years. But I do think he believes, hey, I'm a pitcher, man. And I've been doing this for 15, 20 years. And I can find a way with my curveball and my brain to get outs when his body is telling him otherwise.
And here's the other thing with his stuff. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but I've been talking to Waino for years. He was never a guy through 95-mile-an-hour fastball, never. But he told me if I can spot my fastball, 88, 89 miles an hour, but spot it where I want it, that's enough to keep them off balance. Sometimes they'll take a strike because they don't expect it and keep them off the curveball. And he hadn't been able to do that. I mean, sometimes it's an 86, 87-mile-an-hour fastball, but the thing is, he's not putting it where he wants it. Now, maybe in his mind, there's a way of finding that location, and I don't think he thinks he's the same guy he used to be, but good enough to win games and be competitive. Maybe that's what he's thinking.
I get you on that. Guys, at this point, what difference does it make in the Cardinals season for Waino to go out there every 5th day? Not like this shite show is going to get any better. Thanks, Jobu.
exactly.
That's kind of where I am.
But now it's the discussion of, is that the best way to get him 200 wins? And we had that discussion earlier in the show. And that'll be up on the podcast, so we do not have to rehash that.
I think that's
and
more
YouTube,
embarrassing,
and
though.
YouTube.
I really do.
And it'll also be up on the YouTube.
I think it's more embarrassing to massage the 200 wins out of the bullpen. I really do. What you describe, I know you're half kidding, The 4 2/3 thing, I mean, that would be atrocious. I know.
I was kind of half serious, though.
Okay, but even if you go piggyback with an opener, I still think you're now just adjusting your entire season for 200 wins. I get it if you're a starter, but if you start
They already
selectively,
are. That's why he's in the rotation.
I know, but I think again, we're talking about the embarrassment of it. And I think that's more embarrassing to basically coax 200 wins out of figuring out the perfect two situations over the next 44 games to bring Waino in a tie game, to let him throw one inning and hope your team can score a run. I think that's kind of pathetic to me.
I think it's all pathetic.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Waino will shock the world and pitch well in the start. He's going to have his next start, and then maybe that'll alleviate some of the questions.
When is his next
I hope
start?
he does.
Not currently in the Oakland series like I was hoping it would be, because Liberatore slated for the last start against Oakland, and so
He'll be on his regular rotation.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for the best because, like I said, I think he deserves to go out on a positive note. I'm hoping for the best. If that were me, I would probably change it up.
Get him in, by the way, 855-282-8255. Text line's just blowing up. I wanted Albert to come back this year to chase Babe Ruth's home run record. However, I respect him even more with him saying his body told him it's time and he didn't want to embarrass himself chasing personal records like Waino is. Spartan 44. Cat, he's been saying that for months. The season's over. Who cares if he finds it? It's his last season in the Cardinals army going to the playoffs, so who cares? The Cardinals aren't going to the playoffs.
Well, I think you're missing the point. I think part of the discussion is we'd like to see Waino get to 200. I think most fans would like to see him get to 200, but not at the expense of being down 6-0 every game after 2 innings. I think that's the discussion. Isn't that what we were discussing?
Yeah.
we've already swallowed our pride on this thing.
Yeah,
just
all
rig it to give him 200. And
all right, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't really care that much. It's fun to talk about.
Then it'll support my point that 198 and 200 are kind of the same when he gooses the numbers to get those last two. Then it's like, how valuable were those? He was kind of already a 200 pitcher anyway. And then people are going to jump to my opinion.
I don't think there's going to be a good ending to this.
Now, Cole, I have a
That's
question
all.
for you.
I do actually.
I don't.
There's going to be
Guitar night is how it's going to end.
He's going to have an outing.
A good giveaway.
To me,
16,000.
Even if it's a one-inning bullpen in the last week of the season, I do think Adam Wainwright, because the perfect time to do this is this season. You are so bad. The last week, if you want to bring Waino out of the pen, you could do it every day until he has one scoreless inning at home, and then he walks off and tips his cap.
No, he's going to start on the very last game of the season. 25,000 fans. I was mistaken, by the way. 25,000 fans, 16 and older.
That's guitar night?
Look at those things.
25.
It's the final game of the season?
Yes.
Wow.
25,000.
Who do you think's starting that game?
Well, it depends. I mean, it really depends. To act like anybody knows right now, because
I
this is where I
disagree.
agree with you. There's a difference between going 5 innings and allowing 3 or 4 and legitimately having a shot than an 8 spot in 1. So he can't do that more than, let's say, 2 more times. Even 1 more, you're probably getting to the point of, dude, it's time to pull the plug.
Well, with how bad the Royals are, how do you need to see it again?
Again, I don't care because the season's over. So, like, the only reason if the Cardinals were in a playoff race, he would not be starting.
100%.
He would not be starting. I truly believe that.
Which means that the season already has had this whole 200-win field to it. That's become a big priority, the fact that he's already in the rotation.
Well, now.
So rig it.
But last year, the Albert stuff was cool. It was awesome.
Because you were competitive.
But one of the reasons it was cool is he was also your best player for the second half. He's the one that led you to the postseason. I know we all wish the playoffs would have lasted longer, but that was magical because Albert was hitting bombs and you were winning games. He was winning games for you.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to place a bet right now, if Waino would start that last game, as Cole projects, I'd take that bet. I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know, but I would take that bet.
I think I would too.
I would take that bet. I've agreed with Cole 3 times.
Oh my God!
But I have a
Crazy
question.
town.
I have a question for Cole.
Funky town.
So we're on what, an hour? And
20 minutes, baby. That's what we
coming up
do.
on an hour 20 talking baseball, and this is Cardinal baseball, and your polling says no one cares.
So don't split it up.
No one. Was it bad that we talked about this? Because your poll said no one cares, no one's watching?
No.
Well, it's because
Cole
of
the
last
poll
week.
master.
Because last week we didn't mention the Cardinals, I think, once.
I know.
So we had to make
Yeah,
up
we had to
for it.
make up for
Hey,
it.
what's going on with this dude? Hey, boys, did you see the Rays giveaway yesterday? Was a snapback caps for kids 14 and under. No joke. Ironically, Wander Franco is also dating a 14-year-old. What a creep. A couple people were like chiming on Wander Franco. What's going on?
Wander Franco.
That's the big rumor.
What's happening?
So it was
Apparently he's being investigated.
there was a social media post by somebody who is like speaks full Spanish, so you kind of have to like translate the post. But they captured some images of Wander Franco with someone who is allegedly 14 years old. So that's the investigation going on right now.
Damn.
Well, that is not good.
No,
That's not good.
Not good.
That's not good.
Felipe Vasquez might be pitching to somebody in prison.
Poor Jimbo. He is so misunderstood. Hold on. But continues to prove he is the smartest man in the room. Way to go, humble Jimbo. Angry old guy. He's usually pretty on you. That was a compliment. They keep coming in. Oh, God. Oh, Wander Franco. So my chimed. Oh, dang, dude. He's like kissing her and stuff. Yeah. And she's 14. Oh, dang, D-Dog. He posted that?
I don't know.
He posted that?
I don't know who
Somebody else posted it about those two.
Wow. Oh, boy.
But before
anyway.
you convict someone, there's an investigation, and they will get to the bottom of it.
It's all good. I'm not convicting him. I'm just looking at these pictures. Okay. Whew. Anyway.